This is Professor Homa back with part 3 of Vignette Color. The last thing we did here in Photoshop is we created a layer, we put a white frame on it, filled it with pixels, and we blurred it. We used a Gaussian blur and we made this vignette. And if we don't like it, we could take it off, we could even throw away the layer. But we're going to do one other thing here with this image, is we're going to colorize this. And some people call this a sepia tone, although sepia tone is more of a redder burgundy tone. We're going to use like a beigey tone, and then we could even adjust it to let a little color peek through. And that's what we're going to do here with this image. So what we're going to do, again, we mentioned about making new layers. We're going to make a new layer, and I'm going to go down to my layer palette and hit the new layer icon, and I'm just going to name it Color. And again, when you make a new layer, there's nothing on it. You'll see a checkerboard image, meaning that it's just a transparent layer. It's like a piece of transparency. And there's nothing on that layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that color with a dark beigey color. So I'm going to go up here in my swatches and just choose a nice dark beigey color. I'll choose dark cool brown, or maybe I could choose medium cool brown. I'll go a little lighter to start. And notice when I do that, when I click, if you go over here, I see that it's been added to my foreground color. That's my foreground color, black is my background. I could switch these around if I want, but I'm going to keep brown as my foreground color. And that's helpful because when I go to Edit Fill, foreground color is one of my choices. So as long as I'm on this color layer, I'm going to go to Edit Fill, and I'm going to choose foreground color. And again, just like last time, normal 100% opacity. I'm going to hit OK. Now what that did is it flood filled my layer, and my whole layer of color is filled with brown. First thing I want to do is take my layer color and drag it below the vignette, yet above my bridge, so it colorizes the layer. Now, because I can't see anything, some people think, well, you should just adjust the opacity. And if I adjust that, you can see it does kind of let the photo underneath show through. But what it does do, though, is it kind of covers up the highlights, makes it very cloudy looking, and I lose the nice bright. I'm losing all my contrast, so I'm getting kind of a grayed down photo. So that's not really the look I want. So I'm going to put this back to 100%, and this isn't the look I want either. But what I'll have to do to really do a true colorization is go to here, and in my layer palette, I'm going to go to, from normal, I'm going to go all the way down to color. I'm going to choose color, that's a layer mode, and I'm going to choose color, and you can see what it'll do. It actually will filter out all the color from the image and use tones of that medium brown. And it gives a nice look. Notice it keeps nice bright whites. It's keeping the same kind of range of tones that was in the color image, although it's stripping out the color. So it gives kind of a nice antique look. You could use any color you want. You could go to your swatches here, and if you wanted to try a sepia tone, I'll try a burgundy tone. And instead of always going to Edit, Fill, Foreground Color, there is a shortcut. I'll zoom in here a little bit. There's a shortcut. If you go Option Delete is a shortcut for Fill Foreground Color. So I could just go on my keyboard and go Option Delete and try it out. And if I don't like it, which I don't, I'll go Option Delete again, and I can try different colors. Blue might be nice, a little toned down. Option Delete, there's another blue. I could try in green, all kinds of colors. But you know what? I like the brownish color, and I'll even use a darker brown and do Option Delete. And there I like that look. It almost has like a black and white feel to it. And that's okay, because I like the look with the old covered bridge. One other thing you can do with this color layer, we mentioned changing opacity. If you change opacity on this color layer, it will actually allow some of the color to show through. Which you might say, well, why would you want to do that? Well, it kind of gives, at 70% opacity, it kind of just lets a little of the red show through. Kind of gives that old, it still gives an antique-y kind of look. It almost reminds me of those old 60s kind of photos where they weren't very saturated. Kind of a low saturation kind of photo. And I kind of like the look this too. I like it both ways. I like a little color coming through, and I also like it, almost looking black and white with a little bit of color to it. So again, this is colorizing using a color layer, and that we're changing the color mode of. Now when you're done with this, and I should do a Command S, I'll save my Photoshop document. Now my Photoshop document has all these layers, and again, any layer I bring in here, copy and paste or drag in, that's underneath the color in the vignette will have the same look. But what I want to do, let's say I want to take this image and take it to a photo place and get a 5x7 print. what I would want to do now, instead of taking the Photoshop file, which is would be fairly large file size, I'm going to do a file save as, and just save it as a JPEG. And the JPEG will just save this flattened image that I have right here. So I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to change. First thing you want to do when you save a JPEG is change the format from Photoshop to JPEG. Now JPEG doesn't support layers, so you won't even see layers being even checked here. So save it as JPEG, and it'll put the extension on it, Covered Bridge JPEG, which will be different than Covered Bridge PSD, at least on the Mac it will be. So there's my Covered Bridge JPEG, and I'm going to hit save, and I'll leave it on maximum quality. If you're taking it to get a printout, you don't want to reduce the quality at all. You'd only want to do that maybe on the web to compress the file size, but certainly not if you were getting a printout. And I'm going to hit OK, and nothing happened here. It still says Covered Bridge PSD, and that's because that our image, I'll just go here in my Finder, you can see here it is, Covered Bridge JPEG. That's the one I just made. It saved it in the same folder that I'm working in, but it kept my Photoshop file open here. So it kind of saved it in the background, and that's something called save a copy that Photoshop does. It saves a version of something, and it allows you to keep working on your Photoshop document. So again, this is colorizing, and we do it with different layers. So if we don't like it, we just turn them off, and we're almost back to where we started. But if you like it, you can colorize it, you can throw the vignette on, and then you could save it as a JPEG, and then we're done.